Hey everybody, Shane here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today in Overwatch's Halloween Terror 2020 event, going for the Vengeful Ghost achievement. This one's going to be available anytime the Junkenstein challenge missions are going to be available in the arcade. This one is going to be the first one. What the Junkenstein challenges are basically going to be the regular Junkenstein's Revenge on expert difficulty, but with a twist. So we're going to stick to our classic team of McCree, Brigitte, Torbjorn, and Zenyatta. And basically what you want to do is want to make sure you load into it. This first one's going to be pretty straightforward, and by now you should have the basics of Junkenstein's Revenge down. So make sure you follow along with the timestamps, as you are going to have to deal with the scripted events. This one is going to be on the easy side. The gimmick for this one is basically about 30 seconds into the run, you're going to get a ghost that is going to appear in the middle of the bridge. And this ghost is going to basically fly around the map and chase whoever is closest to it. And the ghost is going to deal damage to this player if they get stuck in its aura. So essentially what that is going to mean is whoever the ghost is chasing is going to need to pull the ghost away from the group. So it's going to be a regular Junkenstein's Revenge run, but with one player basically on the move at all times. Do keep in mind, while this player is trying to pull the ghost may move its chase onto a different player, so make sure everyone is going to be aware at the ghost's position at all times, even if it is going to be in the background. So basically, 3 players are going to keep up with the normal defense, and then 1 player is going to basically move their defense as the ghost is chasing them. So whoever is going to be chased by the ghost is basically going to keep up with the defense, but on a constant movement level, instead of just hunkering down by the door. The ghost isn't going to be able to be damaged. However, the ghost isn't going to instantly kill anyone it touches. It's just going to deal damage to them. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Getting caught by the ghost isn't going to be a death sentence or anything, but you definitely want to make sure you don't stay still for too long if it does end up getting the jump on you. Make sure the 3 players who aren't being currently chased by the ghost keep up on the scripted events. Make sure you are calling out for tires, and the person who's going to be on the move can also get a jump on the tires if they do happen to be moving in a direction where a tire happens to be spawning. So make sure you are having good communication with this one, of course, and we are, of course, going to deal with the bosses that pop up. So Reaper is going to come in at 5 minutes and 48. Make sure you try to pull the ghost away from the Reaper fight, as you do not want the ghost and the Reaper dealing double damage. So Reaper is always going to fly in towards the door side of the bridge, so make sure whoever's pulling the ghost tries to keep him away from this area, and then just make sure everyone else is going to take out the Reaper as quickly as possible, especially before the Reaper gets his ultimate. Remember to use your ultimates to take out the Reaper quickly if you can afford to. Remember, the Reaper is going to get his ultimate as soon as he phases 4 times, so if you can time it, you can also try to stun the Reaper with McCree's stun grenade or Brigitte's shield bash, and that should buy you some extra time. Then we're going to get back to pulling the ghost away, and then keeping an eye out for the slew of tires right before the next boss. So make sure you keep an eye on them. They are going to be the 3 random ones, so make sure you keep an eye out for them. And then we're just going to keep the movement going. So as long as someone is constantly moving and pulling that ghost, you shouldn't have too much trouble, as this is very doable with 3 people, since there are going to be 3 lanes to keep an eye on. Make sure you don't let those tires get away from you, though, and make sure everyone is going to be vigilant and calling out for tires. If someone is tired of pulling the ghost, you can always have them switch up the chase with someone else. You definitely want to have everyone take up a position that they are most comfortable with and are best at. So the range characters are going to want to try to hold the door, and the more close combat characters should be the ones pulling the ghost ideally. But just make sure everyone micromanages both the ghost and the random tires that appear. Don't let that door take too much damage, and remember to not let the zombies pile up as well, as they're going to put the door under very heavy fire. So make sure you do a good job of taking care of them as well. And the person who is pulling the ghost is going to take care of that, since they should be moving in and out, and they're going to have an easier time of killing the zombies. Once we get past that triple tire slew, we're going to roll our next boss in the form of Junkenstein's monster. He's going to appear at the cart side of the bridge. Make sure you try to land an ultimate on him if the situation presents itself, as he is going to be pretty chunky to deal with. McCree's ultimate is going to be the perfect candidate for this. Make sure they have a full clip and make sure they start backing up and fitting everyone, especially the Roadhog, into their FOV before firing it off. Make sure the board is as clear as it can be of Zombardiers because you do not want a Zombardier blast interrupting the ultimate since you shouldn't waste it. A perfectly timed ultimate should take the Roadhog down to half of its health, and then you should be able to pile on it and then take it out and then get back into the game. Then we're going to have another tire spawn at 324. If the Roadhog fight ends up going a little long, make sure you don't let that tire sneak up on you, and then just make sure you get back to playing on the defense. You're going to have a little bit of a break here, and then you're going to have the next boss at 2 minutes and 52 in the form of the Symmetra. Symmetra is going to pop up her little barrier, which is going to cut the playing field in half, so make sure you try your best to deal with that while also trying to move with the ghost, and then we should slowly whittle her down as well. The McCree player definitely wants to save their ultimate for later, so make sure you don't waste it on her. You are going to want to try to use everyone else's ability to try to take her out, as she isn't going to be the worst boss to deal with. And having the characters move around a bit is going to also help pull her away from the door. But make sure, do keep in mind that if the fight does run long, you want to make sure you watch out for that right side tire at 2 minutes and 36, as that's going to be pretty close to the summoner spawn. Summoner isn't going to be too bad to deal with on her own, though. Just make sure you have the character who's pulling the ghost also deal with the normal enemies, especially the Zombardiers, and especially if the other three are going to be piled next to the door, as the Symmetra is going to come in and deal a lot of damage. And if they are taking extra damage from both the Zombardier and the ghost, that's going to give you a little bit of trouble, but it's nothing too impossible to manage. Then at 1:52, we are going to have good old Dr. Junkenstein. This is where I recommend using the McCree ultimate. So you want the McCree player to get their ultimate, and you want to make sure they get to a safe spot away from any Zombardiers. So either up on the left side lane, high up, or at the little water on the right side lane. So as long as you have a clear shot at the Junkenstein, you should almost take him out, and he's going to go down really quickly with a well-placed McCree ultimate. Just make sure you watch out for Zombardiers, as you do not want to get your ultimate canceled. So make sure you have everyone else do a good job of mopping up the board before the McCree player goes in for the kill. Don't forget, you're going to have a Reaper come in at 1 minute and 36, which is going to pretty much distract everyone by the door. So hopefully the McCree gets his bearings together and gets to an open spot where he can take out the Junkenstein super quickly. So make sure you get that shot off, and then you should be able to take out Junkenstein super duper quickly, and then make sure you get back to safety, as the ghost is probably going to pressure you if you are making a move towards the Junkenstein. Then we're going to have the left-right tire very close to one another at 49 and 47 seconds respectively, so make sure you don't let those sneak up on you. So make sure you get your range characters back to the door. Make sure you get those tires. It's always going to be a left followed up by a quick right, so make sure you don't let those catch up on you, and you should be able to take them out really swiftly. Make sure you get the ghost away from the door, as Reaper is going to pop back in at 33 seconds, and you don't want a ton of damage by the door. Reaper's going to come flying in. Make sure you try to keep the ghost away from all of the players dealing with the Reaper. You're also going to have a tire fly in from the middle bridge at 25 seconds, so make sure you don't let that catch up with everyone in the midst of all this chaos. A good Torbjorn ultimate is always going to help out with that. And then after dealing with the last tire, make sure everyone regroups and reconvenes to get ready for the last wave of bosses. You're going to want the McCree character to get his ultimate as soon as possible, and then he's going to take position at the high ground on the left side. Again, clear the board of any Zombardiers. Make sure the ghost is going to be away from the McCree player. If you are trying to find a better spot, you can also try to post up behind the cart. You are basically trying to get as clear of a shot on as many bosses as you can, but of course the priority is always going to be to take out the Mercy first, as you do not want her to heal her fellow compatriots. So make sure you prioritize clearing the Mercy, and then if you're lucky, you should have hit the other bosses. If not, they aren't going to be too impossible to manage. So make sure you try to take out the Roadhog and the Junkenstein. So just make sure you try to get back to the door, and then try to keep the ghost away from everyone dealing with the more chunky bosses. Torbjorn and Zenyatta's ultimates are going to be very useful for holding the door, and then everyone else is going to be focused on damage, so make sure Brigitte is using that shield bash to keep the Roadhog at bay. You definitely don't want him to get his ultimate and knock everyone around, and then once you deal with him, the Junkenstein should be easy enough. Make sure you take your time with this one. Hopefully the McCree gets his ultimate back, and then you can finish him off super duper quickly like this. If not, you're going to have to slowly inch towards him and then take him out, but once you do, you should be good for the run. This one's going to be one of the easier ones, thankfully, as the ghost isn't going to be too problematic as long as whoever is pulling it keeps moving. But once you wrap that one up, you should be good for the first challenge and the achievement that goes along with it. 15 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.